Welcome to the Tuckcast with a splash of bourbon presented by Tuckaseegee Fly Shopping Guide Service, located at 3 Depot Street, Bryson City, and 530 West Main Street, Silva, North Carolina. Tuckaseegee Fly Shopping Guide Service is your number one stop prior and after your epic fly fishing adventure in western North Carolina. Tuckaseegee Fly Shopping Guide Service proudly carries industry-leading brands such as Sims, Orvis, Corkers, Sage, Rio, Scientific Anglers, Hatch, Nautilus, Lamson, Fish Pond, Scott Fly Rods, Echo, Umpqua, Hairline, Nature's Spirit, Peak, Norvice, plus a large selection of flies and streamers. Check out www.tuckflyshop.com for streamflow information, book a guided trip, or even shop for your favorite Tuckaseegee Fly Shop gear. Follow the crew on Facebook at Tuckaseegee Fly Shop, Instagram at Tuck Fly Shop, and on YouTube at Tuckaseegee Fly Shop. Here in our Silva studios today, we have Coach Del Diesel Collins, Bobby the Bearded Wonder Bennett, and I'm your host, Shannon, Big Mess Messer. Let's jump in to today's episode. All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Tuckcast with a splash of bourbon, with a little bit of root beer from the convenience center today, conveniently located at Tuckaseegee Fly Shop. Yes, everybody, welcome back. Bobby's in the studio with us. Coach Del Diesel Collins is still out on assignment in Webster, North Carolina, so he's got everything under control out there. And it is February.
It's National Pizza Day.
National Pizza Day. Nice. Are you going to eat pizza now?
I'm going to go home and make a pizza.
All right. What kind?
Pepperoni.
Pepperoni.
I got these really cool pepperonis that I don't know how they do it, but they curl up, like they become a cup, and so the edges get really crispy. Oh, it's so good.
Wow.
Yeah.
Specialty pepperoni.
They actually say it on the package.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I must be how thinly it is sliced, potentially.
I think it's that they don't take the casing off the outside of the pepperoni.
Gotcha.
And it makes it's like that expansion contraction, so it makes it curl up.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is.
I got you.
I had to guess.
Yeah.
It's like bologna. Did you ever make fried bologna sandwich?
I love fried bologna.
If you didn't put the little cut in the middle,
I do.
It would
It's
like just
boom, man. Fried bologna. It's like you put that on a piece of light bread and it's gone in like 3 bites.
good,
Man. Why was it just like so fast?
I don't know. I love some fried bologna.
It's like drinking a Yoo-Hoo.
Yeah.
And let there be light.
Yeah. If y'all see the light going crazy today, we got a problem with our overhead light. But hey, that means we're talking the truth.
They like fried bologna.
That's it. The fried bologna.
All right. Super Bowl's over. And
Baseball season's here.
Baseball season is here. Some trades and stuff like that being made out there. But glad the Super Bowl is behind us. That's a positive step in the right direction, that life is slowly getting back to normal.
Yeah.
It's good to have some sports there. But with that being said, you think about February, you start to think about, we're not too far away from spring. The birds are chirping and the butterflies are flying.
Yeah. It was warm today.
Yeah.
60 degrees or so.
Nice.
After we got snow on, what night was that? Saturday night?
Saturday was interesting. If you folks seen the little snippet of me out there on the stream, I got out there and it just started like sputtering snow.
While you were out there?
Mm-hmm.
What time was that? Like in the afternoon?
It was in the afternoon. But it was snowing up on Black Balsam, up on the mountain. But it was probably 39 or so. I mean, it was cold. You could feel the moisture in the air.
Yeah.
Though. And the flakes were come down, and they were, they had some ump to them when they hit. You heard them hit you.
So they might have had a little ice in them.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't ice. It was definitely. It was just the flake.
A lot of water in them.
It was a heavy moisture content snow.
Yeah.
But the great thing about it, it was real pretty that evening, and by Sunday afternoon, you could be out.
Yeah.
In some places sooner, depending on if the sun hit it or not. So that snow came and went pretty quickly. However, there's still a lot on the north side waiting around for that next snow event, whenever that'll be.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Man, I drove home last night and my road was nasty. Like just ice and slick and stuff. I actually slid in one spot. Back tires went in the ditch.
Oh.
Luckily it came out.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully after 60 degrees today, maybe all that's gone. I hope.
Yeah. That freezing and
home.
thawing effect here for us in the mountains, if you folks aren't too familiar with it, you get that freeze and thaw, freeze, thaw, and then it just gets soft. Your roadbed just gets so soft there. And that's something to keep in mind if you're out there fishing some of these places that are a little bit more remote, that are on a road like that. This time of year, you can get some soft spots in the road, and it feels like you're going to sink down and set on your frame. And if you do that, you're stuck.
Yep.
Literally, you're sitting on the ground. That's not great. But, yeah, so today we're going to hop into another episode or a series on fishing here locally, and we're going to hit probably the North Carolina side of the Great Smoky Mountain National Park. Also, we'll get into a guide tip, a fishing report, and just want to go ahead and plant the seed for next week. We're going to have some special guests on here. The guys from Good Buddy Fly Fishing from Georgia will be on here. So if you are on YouTube and you're watching us on YouTube, if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button if you would, please. Feel free to share this with your friends and others out there. But go ahead and look up Good Buddy Fly Fishing there on YouTube. Watch their videos. They're just like, I think it says it, they're good buddies, and they go fish. They're just like anybody that walks through the shop here. They like to go out and fish.
Everybody could be Good Buddy Fly Fishing.
That's right, Good Buddy Fly Fishing. So looking forward to that coming up next week for sure.
Heck yeah, man. I'm excited to talk about the park.
Yeah. Just want to remind everybody, we know that hatchery-supported waters are going to close the month of March. Just throw this reminder out there, a public service announcement. You can still fish your delayed harvest waters.
Yep.
During the month of March. So I just want to throw in that public service announcement.
That's right.
Brought to you by
every week we're going to mention it.
Yeah.
Every week. Hey, do you know if the tribe's doing like their shutdown thing? Because they usually close.
Yes, they do. They do the 2 weeks at the end of March.
Yeah.
And then, let's see, they open up a week earlier than the state water does.
So we'll check on that and mention that on the podcast too to make sure everybody's up to date. Because I know they do that usually. I know last year was a weird year, and I think they closed down everything because the whole reservation was closed.
They did.
So this year, I'm sure they're doing at least some of those rivers will be closed. So
yes, Andy fished over there, and he caught a 22-inch rainbow, I believe, over there. Up in the waters up in the Cherokee area.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, fantastic.
On some hooks bought with Tuckaseegee Fly Shop. And we got plenty of hooks.
Oh, good.
Own little creation, man. Absolutely. Funny. So the Great Smoky Mountain National Park is the most visited national park in the United States. And surprisingly, I have learned over the years, Bobby, that a lot of folks don't realize that when they come here.
Yeah. Yeah, I think most people don't realize that, And the cool thing is there's so much to explore in it, and I don't think a lot of people go that deep into it, because unfortunately there's not a lot of roads. It's not like Yellowstone where you got a big loop that goes through, and even then in Yellowstone there's a lot more to explore, but it's like we really have one main road, and the rest of it's, some side roads and gravel roads and stuff. So, prepare to hike a little. If you want to see a lot, you got to be willing to put some miles on your feet, that's how you get away from folks to get that solitude. So, absolutely. We got a lot of people that come here.
I think we hear it quite a bit in Bryson City Shop, is that they say they come to the quiet side of the park, and definitely North Carolina seems to be more quiet compared to the Tennessee side, and not taking anything away from the Tennessee side of the Smokies. You just have that big draw over there of the Gatlinburg, as we call it, kind of the beach in the mountains. But the point that Bobby hit on there momentarily, very few people venture no more than a half mile away from their car when visiting the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. Now, this is according to stats from the Park Service themselves.
Yeah.
So a lot of folks never explore or see what the national park has to offer. The biodiversity inside the Smokies is astronomical. They are still identifying plants and insects and stuff that's never been identified before. And there's a park entomologist, and certainly if you go to the Great Smoky Mountains National Park website, you can see this information. But you can take your phone and take a picture of something and send it to them, and they can identify that. There's actually an app that you can use for that. Alongside that, though, the national park offers some excellent fishing opportunities. Some of that's going to be close to the road, convenience factor, and some of
Yeah.
it requires some overnight camping to make it effective. Certainly a one nighter or two nighter to make it
Yeah.
worth your while when you get back there. But you're looking at species that's going to range from your wild brook trout, your streamborn rainbows, and streamborn brown trout, which were brought in here a long time ago to offset the damage that was done to the fisheries. One fact about the Smoky Mountain National Park is that it has not been stocked since 1975. Now, we know that sometimes stocked fish will run up into the park waters,
Yeah.
and the state of North Carolina stocks fish that are triploid, so they do not reproduce and they can't cross genetics with those other wild fish, so they don't deplete that gene pool.
Yeah. From my understanding, too, some of the brook trout in certain areas of the park are like some of the purest strain of truly brook trout. Like they haven't been cross-contaminated, I guess, genetically or whatever. So, if you want to get those, you got to get high up in the creeks.
You have to, and the park does a great job, and they've done some stream restoration projects when it comes to brook trout fisheries. And when they go in and they repopulate that, they actually pull brook trout from a stream inside the Great Smoky Mountain National Park. And this is actually done with volunteer effort. So if you want to volunteer and partake in that, you can do that.
That means free labor.
That means free labor, but you get to learn a lot too.
I have yet to do that. The only thing I've helped is water sampling. But
Yes.
man, I watched some of those videos. I'm like, dude, those guys are working.
They're working hard.
They're don't go thinking, oh, I'll just stand here and enjoy it. No, they're going to put you to work.
You're gonna work. The stream sampling is another important project that you can take part in. I know Dr. Dave down in Bryson City seems to do it religiously, but
I think he does it every time.
Heath has done it. I've done it. Some others here have done it, but it's a great way to learn a lot of these other places because it's going to get you back with a buddy into an area you may have never explored before.
Yeah.
And these are places certainly that you can fish and you can learn about that watershed.
Yeah.
But it's great information that the park is gathering. Matt Culp does a great job for the Park Service. He's the Great Smoky Mountain National Park biologist or lead biologist for them. Great guy. Need to see if we can get Matt on here one day. He does a tremendous job. But the fishing in the Smokies is very technical.
Oh, it is. Yeah, it is. I mean, it's sometimes tight conditions. Is the best way. I mean, a lot of what's the best way? It's like fishing in a tunnel sometimes. From you got stuff behind you, stuff in front of you, and stuff above you. And if you're not paying attention, the stuff above you seems to get you a lot, especially when you go to do a hook. If you don't do that sideways hook set, buddy, you're going to be hung up above you.
It makes that even worse is like when you miss the fish.
Yeah.
Boom, and then it goes flying up. It's like a spring. You're like, oh,
you got to do that downstream hook set.
No, man, I tell you,
possible.
That's right. The other thing, too, you got to be aware of, you're talking about overhead, is the bee's nest in the summertime.
Yeah.
Great point.
The hornet's nest and stuff.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You
don't want to bump into those.
I've smacked one with a rod on Deep Creek one time.
I think I've told this story on here about Dale running into the one on the Nantahala. This is not about the park where he hit it with his head.
Tell a story.
So me and Dale were helping a children's group that were staying at the NOC, and it was basically kind of charity work in a way because they had a bunch of kids that had some type of injury from burns. And great cause. These folks come out of Florida. They try to do this trip every year. Anyways, me and Dale were helping with the kids, trying to get them some fish and stuff. And we were up on the Nantahala, and they'd went to get lunch, or they were coming back from lunch or something. Anyways, it was me and Dale, and we were just kind of scoping the water, seeing if we could see fish. And he's like, I'm going to walk down here and check this hole below us. And, it's a couple minutes later, I hear him kind of scream or something. I look down there. And he's waving his arms every which way. And I was like, what is he doing? So I kept watching and I didn't see him anymore. And I was like, oh, he's probably trying to tell me there's big fish or something. So I didn't worry. Well, a few minutes later, Dale comes walking back up and he is soaking wet. Now, luckily it's midsummer, but he hit a hornet's nest with his head and had to dive into the water and completely submerge himself and like hold a rock to hold himself under because they were attacking him. So it's a pretty good story. He
Wow.
can tell it better than me.
Shoot, I could bet. I bet. I haven't had one quite like that one. Up there on Deep Creek above where Indian Creek comes in, probably about 5 or 6 summers ago, I was up through there, but there was one on River Left, but I didn't know it. I'm fishing up through there, and I hit that thing with my rod.
So it's within 8 feet of you.
Probably. Oh, dude, absolutely. I walked on water. I mean, it happens. I walked on water. And then the other time that I had a close encounter was not quite on the park, but it was close to us. But I was fishing up one small creek, as Steve would say, Messer Branch. But, I'm working a hole, and every once in a while you catch a bee kind of like fly in front of your face. Well, after 2 or 3, it's like, what's going on here? And I looked to my left, and literally.
Was it like head high?
Eye level, 3 feet away, there's the nest. And they're just going back and forth. So I had not gotten in their path to disturb them yet, but I was headed that direction.
Yeah.
I was going there.
So pay attention.
Pay attention.
Look for the hornet's nest all around you, left, right, up, down.
Yep.
I've seen them on tiny little stick trees that you'd never think they'd build on, and for some reason they built on that tree. So that's not a fun thing, especially if you're allergic to it.
Yes.
If you are, you should have an EpiPen with you. No questions asked, especially in the summertime, but all the time be good. Not to mention, every now and then you might get stung by an ant or something.
Sure.
Even.
Absolutely. There's so many insects and bugs out there.
Yeah.
So, which really tends into the fishing. When it leads into it, you think about the fish's diets. There's a lot of terrestrials in the park, and terrestrials work really, really well inside the park. But keep that in your mind. A lot of people don't fish enough terrestrials around here, but terrestrials can be a great, great food source for you, such as ants and beetles and inchworms and things like that can work really well. But some of the waters that we like to fish around here is going to be the Cunalefty watershed, which parallels Highway 441.
Mm-hmm.
Outside the boundary, but inside the Great Smoky Mountain National Park boundary. Also Bradley Fork as well. You got Kephart Prong, Deep Creek, Nolan Creek, which are both relatively close to our Bryson City location, 3 Depot Street, Bryson City down there with the big brown trout out front. When you drive past it, you go right past the shop to those fine places to fish. Cataloochee Valley, Big Creek, Straight Fork. There's a lot of places out there. There's a lot of good information. The unique thing about the Smokies is that it never closes. It's open 365 days a year.
That's right.
30 minutes before sunrise and 30 minutes past sunset, however that necessarily goes. And you can harvest, you can possess 5 fish a day, 7 inches or longer. It is a single hook artificial lure, but you can fish a maximum of 2 flies at a time in the park.
Yep.
So those are your regulations there. They don't have a regulation on what type of boot you have to wear. There's not a requirement on that here yet. So if you wear felt, you can wear felt. That's no problem at all. But those are your basic regulations. Now there are some roads that will close this time of year, as just because of weather that they close down. But there's some places you can camp and stuff too. But it's a great place to come and explore. It's definitely my favorite, and I'll never see it all.
No, there's no way, because what's the estimate of fishable streams? Isn't it a couple thousand miles or something like that?
They advertise 2,000 miles.
Yeah, so that's Tennessee and North Carolina side, but we actually have probably a little bit more water on our side, I guess, maybe. Not much, but maybe a little bit more, only because of Hazel Creek probably.
A lot of it's remote, and that's a good point to bring up. So the park boundary, you get the north shore of Fontana Lake, and everybody kind of knows about the Hazel Creek, real famous. Understand that, but to access a lot of that, you do have to boat across, or you have to do how many day hike to get into the place.
It's a long hike. Most people probably would take them a couple days. Where maybe what do you call those crazy hikers that can do like 50 miles a day?
Whew. Yeah.
They might be able to get there pretty quick.
They ain't stopping to fish.
Yeah,
they're not stopping to fish for sure. But the park offers you quite a bit of different things in your state waters. The fact that they are wild. You're looking at fish is going to be, you could catch a fish as small as 2 inches in there, a little wild rainbow.
The size of your pinky, basically.
Absolutely. He's like, how's it hanging on?
Yeah.
How's it on my fly?
That's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. So don't expect to get, huge fish. Not that the brown trout can get up to 20 plus inches in there.
Mm-hmm.
However, they're that size for a reason.
They're smart.
They're smart. They are smart for sure. But I'm seeing a pretty good resurgence in the brook trout.
Yeah.
Definitely in a lot lower elevations for sure. So you actually have a chance on the kind of left ear, on Straight Fork or on Bradley Fork to get on, maybe catch a brook trout. Not that you're going to get tremendous numbers, but you have a chance to do that for sure.
And what do you think is probably the season for brook trout? Like, when would you start fishing and maybe ending depending on weather conditions? Like starting in spring, what do you think? Is it March, April that they could probably get into brooks a little bit?
Yeah, I think so.
Water temps get about right?
Sure. I think a lot of these places that we think about just going to get to brook trout, you have to look, when is a road open to where I can get to a place to park to hit
that's a good
trail.
point, too. A lot of those are like April 1st. A lot of those
Yeah,
are,
so it really depends on that. There's some places that you can go camp, and you want to camp, use it as a base camp and get in those places. So it may be a little bit later than you would on some of our state waters, which are close to the shop here. But if you think about Cataloochee Valley, you get up there in Palmer Creek. So that's open as long as the weather is permitting. You could get in there and get up in Palmer Creek. I've caught them back there and it's 30-some degrees outside. So water temp's cold, of course, but not wet waiting. But it's definitely plausible to do that.
To still get into a few. So, but it's definitely more of a spring, summer, fall fishery for the brook trout, because you're going to be fishing above 3,000 feet water temps. Because what was the water temp today over in
it's 38.
38 in the park. So, give or take, depending on what stream and stuff you are on. But,
and that's only 20-some hundred feet, too, where that gauging station is.
Yeah, so if you're up at 3,500 feet or something, it's going to be different for sure.
Yeah.
So, and then you got the browns and rainbows that are kind of below 3,000 feet, but some of those rainbows seem to get up above it, too, depending on if they can get over some waterfalls or cascades and stuff. So, it's good fishery, man. It really is. And it's just so beautiful. Like, you see those little snapshots of all those little pools, and it's like, man, there's fish in every one of those. And that's what's so cool about it, is as long as you don't spook them, you'll probably hook something if you just are tactical about it. So, what's your favorite stream?
Oh,
out of all, of the North Carolina side.
On the North Carolina side, of course, my heart's in the valley, Cataloochee Valley. There's a lot of great water up there, a lot of fond memories in that particular watershed up there with myself and, both my boys up there and other family and camping up there. It's just a great place for sure. We used to do a lot up Straight Fork.
Yeah.
We used to fish Straight Fork quite a bit. I enjoy Bradley Fork.
I do too.
And Bradley Fork, there's just something about Bradley Fork.
I just like the way it looks.
It's got a great...
It feels a little more open, too.
Especially in the lower part, above the campground. And if you folks are looking for a place to bring your family and camp, that Smoky campground it's got several loops on it. It's paved. It's not a full hookup unless you're handicapped. They have some sites for that. But we like, taking a camper over there in September. It's after we get back from Montana. September, kind of earlier fall, when it starts to cool off, leave it over there for a couple of weeks and kind of base out of that and fish around. And I like Bradley. Like you said, you kind of go up that one hill and you come down and you make that little turn, and it widens up in there.
Yeah, and it's just some good water up there.
It is. It's flat for a good ways.
I've never fished that above Chastain, though.
Oh, really?
I've never gone above it and fished.
Me and Elijah Dell, we've been way back up in through there.
Yeah. I need to go fish that upper stretch of it. I just haven't done it yet.
I've been all the way back to Cabin Flats.
Yeah.
Toward where Steve found the F-14, piece of the aluminum airframe up there. It's pretty. You get Tawai Branch that kind of comes in on the right-hand side up through there. But you've got about 4.5 miles from the gate to where you cross over the big metal. There's a big metal footbridge that goes across before you start up toward Cabin's Flat. So it's flat for a while, no pun intended, and then you'll start an incline up.
Yeah.
It's not, it's
not
like
severe.
But it's a very doable, very pretty. It is very pretty. Great water up through there. There's 2 really deep holes up through there that I've seen some big fish, but I can't get on the move. Down at the bottom, really, I've done a lot of things. I've jigged stuff. I've done whatever, but I just can't get them to move.
I still got a brown trout on Bradley that haunts me that I hooked. He was probably, I'd guess, an 18 or 20, and it was just a bad knot, like totally my fault. And completely lost him.
Yeah.
Man, it still gets me. I know exactly the hole he was in,
Yeah.
where he was, what rhododendron he was under. Oh, I've never seen him again. So somebody either ate him or he moved on somewhere else. So I hope he moved on.
I like Bradley Fork in the fall.
Yeah.
I like it. I've had some real good brown trout success up through there.
Yeah.
Even around the campground area. Don't sleep on that area.
Yeah.
I mean, not everybody's in at campgrounds fishing.
No,
you know, it's not.
I mean,
that.
I think if you hit it in those hours when people are maybe making dinner and stuff, so they're not down there throwing rocks in the water and stuff. It's probably pretty decent.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
it is for sure.
Yeah, that's cool. So small water, like something that's 10-foot wide. Like what would you think? Like a Kephart prong size?
Kephart actually. When you start going up the mountain, you got a couple of those foot logs that you go across.
Mm-hmm.
It can start to get a little tight up through there with Roto. But it's got, like you said,
there's tons of little rainbows.
There is. It's full of them up through there. It is full. That is one certainly to explore. It's not for the faint of heart, because when you start to go up, it's going to get rougher because of the rhododendrons kind of coming in on you. That's one. Canati Fork.
I don't even know that one. Where's that at?
Canati Fork is not too far from that.
Really?
Yeah.
Does it run into the Oconaluftee, I guess?
It would run, yes. It would technically run into the Oconaluftee.
I don't even know that
one.
one.
Oh, yeah. It's a little small one. It's on a map. I mean, I'm not saying nothing that people don't know about, but Canati Fork is there. It's small. Actually, there maybe that picture, the brook trout on our trip sheet.
Yeah.
That brookie I'm holding is right there at Canati Fork.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. But in the summer, there's a lot of briars and stuff, so you just got to be be careful. It's going to grow up.
Watch where you're walking.
Yeah, it gets prickly. It gets prickly up in through there. Another small creek, and I'll throw this out, and it's nothing that people don't know about already, is going to be Palmer Creek over in the valley.
Yeah, over Cataloochee.
Fish up through there in front of the Caldwell house, alongside the gravel road. That's where I take Braden.
I always see fish right there at that little bridge that goes across to the house. They're always like up against that bank, man, just hugging it.
Yeah.
So that's a good one.
Got some real pretty fish out of there too.
Yeah.
It fishes. It's
I guess if you fish on that road though, you're going to get asked a billion times, have you caught anything, right?
Yes. They got a story. Me and Ron from Texas, we spent 2 days together, and I actually took Ron up there. I haven't taken a lot of people to the valley fishing, but on the second day we went up there and we fished Palmer Creek, but we went to the very end of the valley.
Yeah.
And parked, and we walked in, and we fished way up past Messer Branch, and this is the real Messer Branch. This one's on the map. This is the real one. This is the one that actually does exist. And we fished up past the Woody House to where Hurricane Creek and the other creek come together to kind of form the Palmer Creek. But when we got close to the house, because people were hiking up through there, I said, Ron, let me handle this. Let me handle the questions. So Ron kept fishing, and of course people, curiosity kills the cat. So people are like, man, you catching any fish? Man, we caught 47 up through here, and just start throwing these ridiculous numbers at them, which, I mean, we did. We had a really good day. I mean, it was a half-day trip and did really well. But that potential actually does exist.
Yeah.
Between those rainbows up through there. In those brookies. Now, with the heavy rains that we got last year, there were some log jams that really kind of blew those out and destroyed that road up through there.
Oh, that's
we couldn't even drive up to it. We had to park down by the horse camp and fish this pat. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to getting back up in through there. Hopefully, it probably kept some people out, other than if you were back there camping, because there is a backcountry campsite back there as well. But the one thing to keep in mind in a lot of these places we're talking about is that the Smoky Mountains has a great population of bears.
Yeah. A lot.
There's a lot of bears.
Per square mile, it's pretty heavy.
It's pretty heavy. For the most part, the bears stay to themselves. They see you, a lot of times they'll turn and go the other way.
Yeah.
But you have to be aware of where you're at, your surroundings, and be alert of the bears. Now, you don't want to get between mama and cubs. Of course, you don't want to approach the bears, which I've seen people do that on the trails, being stupid. But most of the time, the bears are going to leave you alone. So just know that bears are there. Bears, and And if you're going to these places, be prepared maybe with some bear spray. Understand your distances that you need to be keeping from them, and then what to do in case there is a bear, something like that. If you're doing backcountry camping, there's cables up in these locations for you to
hang your food and trash.
Hang your food and clean up, do all that stuff, folks. Public service announcement. We don't want to get in trouble.
That's it.
Just make sure you do the right thing. But I think that's another lure to this thing. The beauty that it offers is the fact I have been in the stream fishing, and you get that sense that something is not right or something is watching you. And for instance, there's a gorge section up on Straight Fork. I was fishing one evening, and I'm wading upstream, and I'm literally, I'm removing the hook out of the fish's mouth, and I turn to my right, and down where 20 minutes ago is a hole that I had come up through. There's a bear in the middle of that just kind of looking at me, and it kind of looks, and then it goes on up. I mean, it just kind of lazily kind of goes on up the ridge up through there. So, I mean, that happens.
Yeah.
I've seen coyotes. I've seen elk. I mean, it's snakes.
They're around.
Snakes.
Yeah, snakes worry me more than bears.
Yeah. And I'm worried about the bees.
That too. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, the bears I never really think twice about a bear, really. It's more the snakes or the bees, the smaller stuff.
Yeah.
Especially the snakes. Man,
Yeah.
I hate snakes.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh.
And this is a place, too, that you can combine photography, fishing, and hiking all in one thing, too.
Yeah. We get plenty of questions in the shop. People are like, "Hey, I want to fish, and my wife or my buddy just wants to hike. Where can we go?" And man, tons of these have trails right beside the creek. I'd say 80% of what's the major creeks in the park have a trail beside them. So it's a great opportunity for y'all to do some hiking, some fishing. Hang out, take a lunch, sit beside the stream, eat a sandwich, all that good stuff. Like, it's perfect for that. So I do it all the time. And it's fun to go when it's different too. So don't just go on like the perfect day. Go after a rain and see the river. The Cascades are bigger. Waterfalls are bigger. After a snow or after, man, that what was it, about maybe more than that now. 3 years ago, where it got so cold and everything froze.
Yes.
I've got some great photographs of like frozen waterfalls and cascades and all that stuff. So, go check it out even when it's like that. I know that some of that's not geared towards fishing, but man, it's just cool to go see it, just to see that something that you've seen 1,000 times, like, looks so different. And with that being said, fish it when there's high water.
Yes.
Don't be scared after rain to go try to catch big boy or big mama.
Yeah.
Trout, because they when the park gets high, and this isn't every stream because not every stream holds big fish, but kind of the more valley streams, Deep Creek, the Oconaluftee, some of those that are closer to, or some of the ones that run into the lake, Nolan or Forney or Hazel or any of those big browns, you'd be surprised how many big fish you can catch just in a bank eddy or something with a streamer. So don't be scared to do that, even if the water's kind of off color and stuff. It's a perfect time to go fish it. So Shannon's got a whole table over here of streamers, and he's wanting to give you to go do it. So come by and grab one.
We have one customer that the only time he goes fishing is when the water's high.
That's it.
That's when he goes.
So it's a good time to go in there and explore it and try it, and don't go with the expectations of, oh, I'm going to catch a big fish today. Probably not. But you're going to catch a quality fish when you do. Or, excuse me, you're going to see a quality fish flash on your fly or something. So they're in there. I think the biggest brown I've seen in Deep Creek caught, it was 26-inch brown. So that's on the very upper end, I'd say. There might be one bigger, but that's going to be the biggest. But I'd say, 16 to 20 inchers, there's pretty good numbers of those in there. You just never see them because they're under the bank sitting there waiting for something juicy.
Yeah. They'll surprise you.
Oh, yeah.
When you least expect it, man, they will surprise you.
That's when you think you feel the strike and you're like, oh gosh.
Yeah, absolutely. Right.
It's kind of surprising because you think, oh, here's another 7 or 8 incher. And then it's like, oh no, it feels more like, oh, the light just came on.
Yes.
Then it feels like a log all of a sudden. So,
absolutely.
They definitely surprise you.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
that kind of western end of our area, the Hazel and Eagle, those are really beautiful. They're just harder to get to. They're out kind of in the middle of nowhere. The one all the way on the west end, the name's escaping my mind.
Yeah, it just hit me all of a sudden too. It hit
Chioa.
me. Well, right going toward Chioa,
what is the name of that?
Yeah, It's 20 Mile.
20 Mile. Thank
20
you.
Mile Creek. Yeah,
couldn't
you go
remember.
park there. You have to park. You can't drive into it.
Yeah.
But you pull up there and park, and then wham. And it's smaller as well. It's just out there.
Yeah, it's a long haul to get
It's
over
out there.
But if you're staying, I know a lot of customers stay at Fontana Village.
Yes.
That's a great one because it's close to you there.
Yes.
Or hop on the boat and go across from the marina and go to Eagle or Forney. Well, that one doesn't go to Forney. Eagle or Hazel.
Mm-hmm.
The Fontana Marina will take you over. So those are great ones to access if you're staying out there at Fontana Village. So just kind of keep that in your back pocket. If you're going there for something else, you might be able to spend a half day or day fishing on 20 Mile because it is close. So those are great creeks. The one thing I can tell you about like Eagle is it supposedly has more copperheads on it than anything. Just all the old timers will tell you, watch out for copperheads on Eagle Creek. Yeah. Hazel Creek's the biggest creek in the park. It's the biggest watershed. I'd say it's roughly on the lower stretch in the first 2 miles or so, you're probably looking at 30 to 50 feet wide, depending on, what you've got to deal with there and how the water flows. But, everybody comes and wants to fish that. And it's awesome. I mean, it's definitely worth going seeing because you see a lot of the old remnants of the lumber town, Proctor. You can see part of the old factory and stuff like that that's still over there. The Calhoun house is still there, things like that. And I think there's like 17 or 18 cemeteries on Hazel Creek. So you can see a lot of that. But honestly, the fishing over there is not epic like it's been brought out to be. There are some really nice browns that our good buddy who passed away, Steve Claxton, actually had named. They wouldn't touch anything. You could stand there for 4 hours and throw stuff at them. From behind them, they never saw you that you didn't spook them. They wouldn't eat, man. I can't tell you how many times we did that. And I'm like, dude, I don't know what else to do other than try to hit them with a rock. Like they just won't touch it. So just know that Hazel's an experience. Don't go over there thinking, man, it's Hazel Creek. We're going to catch 100 fish today because that's probably not going to happen. It's more about going and checking it out. And that's one, if you can, I would go camp overnight. I'd go spend a day or at least a night, spend 2 days. If you can spend 2 or 3 days and walk in a little further, it's going to be even better. Go up to Bone Valley, those type of things. That would be a good one to kind of spend the night on, I think. But just be prepared, bear spray, hang all your food. It's a walk. It's not bad. The gradient's really easy. So it's just, walking a few miles on a nice, pretty trail and fishing a little on the way. So that's one that everybody's going to, I'm sure, call us about and say, what about Hazel? So there's everything we know about Hazel.
Yeah. and then, the other one that's kind of out there too, Bobby, it's in Haywood County, is Big Creek.
Yeah.
For us, Big Creek used to be a quiet, very unlikely place that people knew of.
It's got like the swimming holes, right? The big deep.
Unfortunately, yes. It's out, which, people tend to overuse and under pick up their debris that they leave, litter and things like that, which is very unfortunate. Big Creek is a fishery. It is best navigated via horseback.
Yeah.
And that brings up another point. With horses, you can access a lot of these places that by foot is going to take you quite a bit longer. So you will see that the park has, at these backcountry campsites, they have them to where some horses can be there as well as, and in some that can't. But Big Creek and Deep Creek, you can
take horses,
yeah, Cataloochee as well. There's places that you can do via horseback.
Nolan Creek. A lot of people ride horses
absolutely.
on Nolan.
Sure can. So that is a unique way to do that. So if you know someone that has a horse, you can get back there and fish. And that's common with a lot of the local folks here who have horse. They do that, take advantage of that. But Big Creek is out there, really big holes. Big. It's not called Big Creek for nothing. It's big. It's not big like Hazel Creek, but the amount of water coming through Big Creek. Yeah. Jim Estes has got some great stories about,
he stayed up there like during the summer.
Yeah. I mean, there's some wonderful water all through that Sterling Gap area, way down in through there. But that one, now, what do you, and we know about this, but, Deep Creek.
Yeah.
Deep Creek's unique.
Deep Creek's awesome. Now, the first 2 miles of Deep Creek gets a lot of pressure now. I think in the last 10 years, it's gotten known think some articles have been written about it, things like that. So, if you really want to experience Deep Creek, it's kind of like Hazel. I would spend a night or two up on, at least go to campsite 60. Super easy hike, not far. You will get away from people as long as you don't go on a holiday weekend. If you can go further and get up to Bryson Place or the Poke Patch, something like that, it's just a really pretty creek. It stays a good size all the way up to the two forks where it splits. So it's very fishable. And then once you even get where the forks split, the right fork, which is what the trail stays with, is fishable for quite a ways. The left fork, I've never fished that. Apparently it's a lot of bushwhacking. So that's probably something that's not for the faint of heart. If you really want to do that, I actually saw something today where somebody puts a bag over their net so they can go bushwhack. So, because if you ever get your net caught in a roto, you know what I'm talking about. So yeah, Deep Creek's pretty special. Honestly, if you're a real trooper, you can hike the entire trail and fish for a few hours during the summer when the days are long. Probably get 4 or 5 hours of fishing in and hike from the top down and see the whole creek for the most part. And like I said, fish for 4 or 5 hours, and you'll be tired. It's a haul, especially that last little hump coming over from campsite 60. That always kicks my butt the times I've done it, because you're tired. You spent 12 hours, and now you're like, oh, I only got like 5 miles left. I can do this. So that it's a great creek to experience. If you can do horses, it's a great one to do. So yeah, I mean, come see it. That's all you can do. It's got waterfalls. The lower section's got the one of them's only on Deep Creek technically, Tom Branch, but you got Indian Creek, which is like, I don't know, 100 yards up off of Deep Creek that fall, and then you got Junie Wink. So that's in a little loop if somebody just wants to hike while you're fishing the lower end. That's a beautiful little, I don't know, maybe 2.5 mile hike to see all 3 waterfalls, and you can fish some while you're there. So picnic areas there, all that good stuff. There's a campground, so you could camp down low and just walk up and fish a couple days, or if you want to go to a backcountry campsite. So beautiful section. Goes right into Bryson City. So during the summer, you get some of those DH stockers looking for that cool water. They'll swim up in there. So it kind of extends that DH season into the park a little bit. So, yeah, not much else you can say other than go fish it, you know.
Just in the summertime, you're going to have the inner tubers, and they cannot go above Indian Creek.
That's right.
So that's their limit as far as going up, but they will tube from there all the way down past the picnic area. However, that stretch holds some amazing fish.
Yes, it does.
I have fished it with it full of inner tubes and caught some amazing rainbows and browns. And a couple of the stream reports last summer before we opened the Bryson City shop, I was in that particular stretch kind of hole hopping. There's some really good fish in there. Deep Creek is I don't say a sleepy fishery, but it's got some fish that will just catch you by surprise.
They definitely are the surprise fish. They
yes.
I get a lot of folks that come in and are like, man, I fished it. I just don't like it. I can't catch it. You got to learn it, and you got to know where. If you want to be a fishing at it, you got to go spend your time. And I think that's with a lot of the creeks in the park. Is the more time you spend on that particular creek, you'll learn where the fish sit, and then don't waste your time here. Move up. Don't waste your time there. Now, don't get me wrong. If you went through that section and hit every little pocket behind, would you be catching some of those 3 and 4 inch? Absolutely. But if you're looking for, hey, I want to catch some quality fish in the park, and when we say quality fish in the park, I'd say anything 12 inches and bigger is what we would consider a quality fish. So if you're in that 13, 14, 15 inch range, man, that's a good fish in the park.
That's a really good fish.
Yeah. So, and then you go on that upper end, getting up in the 20s, that's a really special fish in the park.
You trophied.
Yeah. Yeah. So, once you kind of learn the creeks in the park, whether it be in Cataloochee or Deep Creek or the Hazel Creek, you kind of start knowing, hey, I shouldn't spend a lot of time here because I know, half a mile up, there's a great stretch that I can spend 4 hours in and have some good success. So just put your time in. That's part of it. It's not DH. You're not going to go out and have immediate success in the park anytime you fish it. There's days where me and Shannon go that, Shannon's got more days in the park than I do, obviously, because he grew up here. But man, we get skunked in the park. I mean, it's just part of fishing the park. It's that's what makes it special. Is it's not easy. And then you go out there some days and it's like, holy smoke, dude, we just smoked 20 fish. Like, boom. It was super simple, and it's like, where did all these fish come from? You know, so that's what makes it fun, is the challenge. So it's not supposed to be easy. You know, at least that's how I feel. I don't think it's supposed to be easy. You know, if it was, everybody'd do it. So that's what's fun about fly fishing. Is it's the hardest way to catch some fish sometimes. So, any other favorites?
We could talk for days about this, and some people over the period of times our conversation, we fished a lot of these places just here in the shop.
Yeah. Well, I will say we have some maps in the shop that detail the park. They're the nice, like, waterproof map. It's got your trails, waters, all that stuff on it, campgrounds, backcountry campsites. I think it even marks the ones that horses can stay in, all that type of stuff. So we've got them in the shop. We can mail them to you. You can swing by the shop and pick one up. So if it's something that somebody wants, it's a great map to have with you. Even if you know the park really well. Me and Shannon actually had this conversation the other day about being prepared if disaster strikes. Having a map with you is not a bad idea. Even if you've been on the trail, you just don't know. How many times a year do we hear about hikers that are experienced hikers in the park that get lost? Because your technology doesn't work everywhere, or your battery goes dead, or whatever. So it's not a terrible idea to be prepared, whether it be our national park or another one or national forest. Man, have a hard copy map with you if you're going back in the woods. Now, if you're going a half mile from the parking lot, you're probably going to be okay. But if you're going to walk back on the trail, take a map just to be safe. It's good to have. So
absolutely, I kind of echo that. I had that down as the guide tip, and you kind of hit on an area that we were talking about.
Sorry, I forgot to flash guide tip up.
Yeah, that's fine. But we went down that path, no pun intended about the path. But what I carry with me is a map. I carry a water filtration system because I can carry that. It's lighter than carrying water. So it's like
one of those like straws?
I don't have the straw. I have the Sawyer one that's in a bag.
So you pour water through it.
You just get dip the bag in the water, put the filter on it, and you can drink immediately.
So does that like roll up? Is real compact?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's nice.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah.
I carry a compass. I carry a way to start a fire. I mean, just your basic things. What would I need to survive out here overnight?
Yeah. If something happened, I mean, you could break your ankle.
I was going to say mechanical injury.
Yeah.
Anything like that. I mean, you have to think like that. The other thing too is you can get hypothermia in the summertime as well.
Yeah.
When these rain showers pop up, and that's the Smokies is a very wet climate.
Yeah.
Super, super wet climate. So you can get rained on, and just because it's raining at Deep Creek, don't mean it's raining on Indian Creek.
Yeah.
You have to understand that too. That's the way it is here in the mountains. But you can get hypothermia. So if that happened, would you be able to build a fire? If you were going down that, would you could have fallen in, the temperature could have dropped, and you start to get in that state. So it's just basic items out there. So I make sure I have water filtration, a map, a compass, and a way to start a fire.
Yeah.
I usually carry a rain jacket with me in a pack.
Yep.
And, of course, I got some nutrition in there as well.
Yeah, throw a couple granola bars or
absolutely.
Something like that.
That's right. I also carry bear spray and a small first aid kit.
Yeah.
And that pretty much covers it for me. Now, make sure that if you want to camp, you need to make reservations. The backcountry camping is reservation only, which allows you to know how many people's at those sites.
Yeah,
so
because they're multiple tent
Mm-hmm.
sites.
That's right. Tents and hammocks. And so make sure you understand that. As far as fishing, most of the fishing in the park is going to take place in the warmer months. However, you can fish it year-round. It's a little bit more difficult this time of year, quite a bit more difficult. But as far as gear, most people are using anything from a 7-foot rod up to a 10-foot rod, 3, 4s, and 5 weights, dry flies, nymphs, small streamers, dry droppers, nymphs only. You can kind of cover that. A lot of pocket water, things like that as well. Waders. And if you want to do some backcountry stuff and cover some ground, you can do that with some wet wading when it's warmer, which is really nice. But a good quality pair of boots, such as the Orvis Approach shoe that we sell at the shop and the Orvis Michelin boot, the comfort that it provides you is really important. The Sims flyweight boot as well. Something like that lightens the load for you, that feels more like a hiking shoe.
Yeah, it's nice.
That with a wet wading sock can really extend your day for you out there.
Yeah.
Just a little tidbit.
Especially
there.
during the summer.
Yes.
There's nothing worse than sweating in waders, man.
Don't wear your waders in the summer. Do not wear your waders in the summertime.
It's too hot in the southeast to wear waders.
Very much too hot.
Yeah.
The water, it feels great.
It does, yeah.
It's so refreshing.
It is.
It will green up. We have a lot of wildflowers.
Yeah, spring is beautiful in the park.
My
man.
heavens.
The wildflower. And it's like every week there's something different
Yes.
kind of coming along.
And that's how I kind of determine what bugs should be coming off is
Yeah.
based upon what flowers are blooming. And I do it more on color. Then getting into that, here you're going to hear us say yellow sallies, yellow sallies, yellow sallies, because we have a lot of them. That, a Jim Charlie, which is a yellow mayfly, caddis. You're going to come across some stoneflies as well. And there's some old mountain patterns, one that I'm real fond of down in Bryson City is the old Adam variant, which fishes really well up Deep Creek. So
I thought you were going to bring up the yellow hammer.
I know. You did. The yellow hammer.
Everybody asks us about the yellow hammer.
Yeah.
If you want to ask us about that, come in the store.
Yeah. Because you can't actually use that bird, the feather off that bird.
Yeah, you're not allowed to use that feather.
So you have to dye. I know John's been working on that.
Has he?
He has for some time now. Don't know how it's coming, but you have to dye the feather to come up with that so you don't get in trouble. But it is a wonderful place to come and explore. It's a great place to fish. It's a great place to become a better angler.
Yeah.
It's a great place to escape. And it's a great place to build some memories with your family.
I think that's probably the biggest thing, man, is how many people have we had come in the shop that are just like, man, we've come up here for 27 years, and I came when I was a kid, you know?
Yes.
And I wanted to bring my family because, you know, my mom and dad used to bring, man, that's what it's about.
Yep.
Is come and just enjoy it. Teach your kids to fish or your grandkids or your nephews and nieces, whoever it is, you know, kind of pass that along, have a good time. Come by and say, hey, show us some fish pics, all that good stuff, and just enjoy that we have a national park that is this cool, because it really is. It's a pretty cool place. And
it really is.
We're very blessed to have it in our backyard. So.
Absolutely. And it's free to use.
Yeah,
that's
it.
For your campgrounds and stuff. It's free to use.
That's a good thing to mention. There's no entry fee into this park, so which I think we've mentioned that before on the podcast, but. That's, you know, you don't have to pay $4, $5, $6, $10 to get in. It's completely free to go in unless you camp.
Yep.
They are, I will mention this because of COVID. They are, you know, requiring you to wear your masks in the visitor centers and parking lots and all that good stuff. So make sure you have a mask with you at all times while you're in the park and all that. You know, until the COVID stuff passes us by. So just be mindful of that and be courteous. Pick up all your trash when you're in there. Leave it how you found it, or even better. And we'll be good. So,
do you think Yogi will write somebody a ticket?
Yogi, you never know. Yogi's around there.
Yogi's might be somewhere on the trail.
Old Yogi.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great place. I will tell you this and leave you with this. There's some really good information out there. We can't hit it all. We can maybe whet your appetite a little bit, but there's some good stuff in print. There's some good stuff online. Do your research. When it's time to go, hit us up here at the shop. Give us a call. Shoot us an email. Come and see us. We'll do our best to direct you. Understand that it rains, water goes up, water goes down, things we can't control. But if you're going to come on the premise of just fishing for, 4 or 5 days, have different watersheds in mind that you can hit and be flexible. That will make your trip more successful. Be prepared for rain, things like that, and you should have a good time.
That's it.
For sure. Presentation or fly? Which one's more important?
Presentation / drift is the most important thing in the park.
Okay.
All those flies are present. Mayflies, caddis, stoneflies, and all their nymphs and immature stages. Man, they're always there. It's just getting that good drift, and don't spook the fish. Remember that.
Yes. Yeah.
It's very important. Move at a good pace, but don't stir all the water up. Their lateral lines, man, they can pick up stuff like crazy. So it's super easy to spook fish and fish a hole for an hour and think, man, there's no fish here. Well, that's because you messed up as soon as you put your toe in the water. You made the mistake. So, you got to be a little stealthy up there and be smart with it. Wear darker clothing.
Yes, thank you.
A lot of camo or, olive or even a dark tan or stuff like that. Don't kind of leave those brighter colors at home. Is the best thing. Not to say that you can't catch fish with a bright shirt on, but I think it's just one of those things. Take it at every advantage you can to have a good day.
Yeah, watch your shadows, all those things right there. Yeah, very good. That's where I was going with that. Just before we get out of here, Bobby, the March Madness fly tying competition is getting ready to start.
Oh yeah, go like Shannon's flies.
Ain't tied none yet.
Yeah, talk all about that. Tell
Man,
everybody
I don't
about it.
know. I'm thinking I'm a one rounder this year.
No.
The categories. So this year, the Norvice March Madness fly tying contest is expanded from a field of 32 to a field of 64. Just like the basketball
It's
tournament.
twice as hard to win now.
It is twice as hard. It is. Some great sponsors out there, which I don't know, by the way. But they did draw the random draws for the brackets. And Baker from the shop here is in it, and I'm in it. And it worked out that actually both of us are on the same side of the brackets. Now, it's possible that we could, if we went, we could make it to, it would take a whole lot.
Did you look at it close enough? If you could meet, how far, like how many rounds it would be?
Dude, we'd be like in the semifinals.
Oh, really?
I mean, it would be like
Holy
that.
smoke.
Yeah, I mean, it would be like,
Yeah.
and it's just a random draw to the hat.
Oh, that'd be awesome if that happened.
So look for that coming out. It's going to be interesting. The one thing though that they did was they said at the fly, in the spirit of the competition, had to be something that you actually could fish with.
Yeah.
So that will be something. There's a lot of
no more hummingbirds or whatever.
Yeah. I think that's going to do that. They've got different categories this year. It's going to be a random draw, and that actually will kick off next week.
That'll be fun, man.
And so
how do they go to the Norvice Facebook page to do that?
They will have to vote on the Norvice Facebook page. So if Baker shares his bracket, you can't like Baker's post. You have to go to the Norvice page to like his fly. Okay. Same way as it would be with me.
So just go like the Facebook page from Norvice, and you'll see it pop up, and you can go through and pick everybody's flies from every round. I remember last year, man, there was some cool stuff.
There was. Absolutely.
There really was. So it's some of them, both of them are so good. It's like, man, which one do I pick? Especially when it's somebody you don't know. Right. Obviously, you're kind of like, man, which one do I want?
Right.
They're both great flies. So it's fun.
I tell you what's interesting about this. So last year in the first round, Britt Davenport, she faced against, and I can't remember who, and I do apologize for that. Well, randomly, they're paired against each other again in the first round. It was the only repeat into the same round, so that drew some chuckles there as well. It could be anything this year from saltwater flies to pike. I mean, it covers the gamut. It covers the gamut. So it's definitely
it's
going
probably
to
fun for the tyers too, especially people that don't tie certain flies, because they're like, man, now I got to learn how to tie XYZ, whatever it may be. And it kind of makes you grow as a tire. Like last year when the streamer round hit,
and I'm like,
I remember Shannon sitting here like playing with streamers, trying to figure out, this is how you do this, and he tied up 2 or 3 that I saw before his round even came.
Yeah, just
kind of messing with stuff. So it's cool.
It is cool.
It was a great idea that came from COVID, and it's one of those positive things that come out of a bad situation. So you got to give it a thumbs up. It's brilliant by them to do it.
So that's coming up there. So be on the lookout for that coming your way.
Do you want to knock out a fishing report since you were on the stream this weekend?
Yeah, I forgot about that. Thank you for doing that, Bobby.
Fishing report from the guys.
I got it. Absolutely. Today the weather was awesome.
Yeah. Should have been here today.
I'm hoping it's that way tomorrow. Yeah. We do have some rain coming in. Thursday, I think we could get an inch or so of rain. But the weekend is supposed to go out of here. But it's February. I will tell you that January ended up finishing, as far as temperature, above average.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of where we're trending. However, it seems like on the weekends, going into Mondays, we've been getting some white stuff.
Yeah.
For a couple of weeks now, right?
Gosh, man, I feel like it's been every week since Christmas.
It feels like that way.
We get something on the weekend.
It feels that way. So be prepared for that type of weather. Don't let it keep you away, because the fish are still eating.
That's it.
Now, Saturday, I did really good on a rubber-legged prince net with that little collar around it. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That. Jarrett did really well with that jigged hare's ear. He got a nice brown trout, man. Real nice fish there. But they're eating, your basic nymphs, your favorite stonefly imitation, whether it's a rubber leg pattern or a little black stone. Eggs, and if I do promote one egg, I like to promote the clown egg. I just like all the colors in it. I like tying that when you
I
see
agree.
me tie it. But it covers all the color spectrums for you out there. And the size we keep in the shop bins here are more truer to a size of a trout egg than some of the other stuff. That's important too, to have something that matches that. On the streamer side of things, the Sculpzillas have been working really well.
Acrylics.
The acrylics, and also those boogers.
Yeah, the
Boogers.
man, you can't go wrong with a woolly bugger.
You can't go wrong. But my favorite one is the one with the silver bead,
You want me to go grab one?
the brown tail,
I'm gonna go grab one. So you
the olive with the grizzly hackle through it. That bugger works exceptionally well. Now, the key to these on some days is they will hit them on a dead drift or when it swings up through the water column. And then on others, they want some movement. They want some stripping action, and they want you to put some movement into it there. So Bobby's kind of controlling the camera. But this bugger right here, there's probably been more trout caught on this color combination than anything else that I can really
So it's a little hard to see. I don't want to zoom the camera in and mess everything up, but it's got that kind of brown tail with an olive body, and it's got the regular straight up grizzly hackle with a silver bead.
Yep.
So it's a very unique bugger, and it works great.
It works fantastic.
Biggest fish I ever caught on the Davidson River was on that.
Yeah, it works. It works. So, and then on the dry flies, keep in mind that we're starting to see some blue quills come off. We're seeing some blanket hatches up on the Caney Fork area. Some of the places inside the Smokies there, Bobby, as well. But these are kind of tend to be on the smaller. You're looking at some size 16s on these guys here. If you're tying some stuff up, and I told Marvin Cash this last night, what I like to do is just take a little bit of blue dun for the tail. I'll take a peacock hurl. I'll just use an eraser and just strip the barbules off, wrap that as my body, and put a little bit of light blue dun hackle, and I go. I don't even worry about putting wings on those things.
Yeah.
That's just a waste of time unless you're in a competition coming up. Like, I'll put on some pretty wings. It didn't work anyway.
Shannon's going to be tying some wings.
But keep that in there. We always think of blue wing olives, but these other flies are starting to show themselves. The caddis, your midges, such as things as a griffin's gnat. Once again, if you're tying your own flies, which a lot of you do, instead of tying a griffin's gnat, use some olive thread for your body and just take you a light dun hackle and just run it through there, palmer it through it, and there you go. You can tie those in 16s and 18s and 20s. The bigger, like 16s, is going to look like a midge cluster when you see them all swimming all together, like that.
Yeah.
It works. It's simple tie. It's a quick tie. So those will work as well. And I'm long-term forecasting February. Of course, we know things can change, but it looks like February is going to be kind of up and down, but yet there's some mild days in there too, which will make it worth your while to get here and fish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be good, man. Come check it out.
Yeah.
Spring's coming. Park's going to be alive.
Spring's coming.
DH is going to be on fire.
Yeah, and they start stocking that next month.
It's going to be good.
It's coming. So if you do want to book, speaking of that, we're getting about every day people are booking trips.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're kind of holding off, you need to get with your buddies, get your dates set.
I have a feeling this spring's going to be busy, not just for trout fishing, but in general up
just
here.
Overall.
So even just like your hotel rooms
Lodging,
and stuff like that, you
absolutely.
need to go ahead and get that stuff buttoned up. I think
Yes.
I think this spring, especially if we see the downfall of COVID and the vaccine and stuff, people are going to explode out of their houses.
I think so.
To do stuff. So
It's looking like that.
I'd get prepping and planning for all that good fun stuff. So
Absolutely.
cool beans, man.
Well,
Let's go eat.
Let's go eat. Be sure to check in next week with us as we have the guys from Good Buddy Fly Fishing there, and we appreciate everybody for listening.
Absolutely.
That wraps up another exciting and informative episode of the Tuckcast with a splash of bourbon, presented by Tuckaseegee Fly Shop and Guide Service, located at 3 Depot Street, Bryson City, North Carolina, and 530 West Main Street, Sylvan, North Carolina. Be sure to visit www.tuckflyshop.com for streamflow information, book a guided trip, or even shop for your favorite Tuckaseegee Fly Shop gear. Follow the crew on Facebook at Tuckaseegee Fly Shop, Instagram at Tuck Fly Shop, and on YouTube at Tuckaseegee Fly Shop. If you have a question or comment, feel free to send those to info@tuckflyshop.com or give us a call, 1-828-488-3333. For Coach Dale Diesel Collins, Bobby the Bearded Wonder Bennett, I'm Shannon Big Mess Messer. We'll catch you next week. Be sure to catch a few fish out there, won't you? Y'all take care.